so here's another glorious crotch shot for you. This time I'm actually going to do the rings first. I thought about it for a minute, and that's probably the best way to do it. So I'm going to do that. When you braze a tip, you'll probably get a lot of dark on the inside that solder doesn't really like to stick to. So I'm going to actually grind a little section for the solder to stick to with a stone Dremel bit. You could just sand it away too, but this is just faster. But sandpaper works just fine too. I'm gonna put this on the lowest setting. Alright, so now you can see there's just clean space for the copper, for the solder to adhere to. And since the stall is mostly clean, I don't actually have to sand anything there. So I'm going to turn the camera around. Ooh, disorientating. Ooh. Alright. And I have my tip ring here, my stall ring here. I'm repurposing these, so there's already solder on them, but that won't make a huge difference. I'm trying to align the ring with where it needs to be. The index on this particular glove has a very crooked ring. Alright, that's about right. It's pretty low down too. And then the stall ring actually goes about here. And is also a tiny bit crooked. If you're just making a glove for yourself, just try to make it as even as possible. But here, that's how the rings are going to be on this particular glove. So, I'm going to clamp this in from the blade since I can do that and just get both rings done at once with this particular glove. But if you're doing a glove on your own that doesn't have the stall and tip connected when you're doing the rings, you might have to figure out another way to do the rings together. For rings, I just use propane with a soldering tip. My self-igniting piece is broken, so I have to light it. And for thin copper, I want to have a relatively low flame. Somewhere around there is pretty good. And typically for rings, I use acid core solder, so you don't actually have to put flux on them, but you can also just put flux in the areas, which will help clean the metals and get it ready for the solder to stick. So let's see if I can get this camera closer so you can actually see. Okay. Now I will try to do the lower ring. There's usually a slight difference in color that you'll see when the metal is ready to actually take the solder. Yeah. Okay. Let me actually move the tip ring a little bit. Okay, good. Now it'll kind of turn a little bit cleaner looking from the flame. It's kind of hard to explain. Maybe you'll see it, maybe not. But yeah, you'll see it kind of change a little bit when it's ready to actually take the solder. And there you go. Both rings are soldered. Let me set this stuff down and show you. Focus, camera. Focus. Motherfucker. Whatever. You should be able to see. The solder is taken. It's not the cleanest solder ever because it is acid core. Acid core is a lot, I don't want to say harder to control, but it is a different thing than doing flux and normal solder. but that is one way to do the rings. That's how I would recommend doing them if it's your first time doing them anyway. Now I'm going to weather this up, and I will show you the final product. I might show you the riveting to the back plate, but I will show you the final product eventually. See you next time.